Before the Bible, before the Quran, before the Torah, before a single word was written on any surface by any hand, humans already believed in something they couldn't see. Not out of ignorance, out of something far stranger. A cave in Africa, a rock shaped like a snake, and a ritual performed 70,000 years ago, 65,000 years before the pyramids even existed. This is the true origin story of God, and it starts with a question no other animal on Earth has ever asked. A chimpanzee caught in a storm hides and waits it out. A wolf running from wildfire just runs. Neither one stops to ask why the storm happened. But somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago, a different kind of brain showed up on this planet, one that couldn't just survive an event. It had to explain it. And the first time that brain hit something it couldn't explain, something huge, violent, uncontrollable, it did something no brain before it had ever done. It invented an answer. In 1974, anthropologist Ernest Becker won a Pulitzer Prize for a book called The Denial of Death. His argument was simple but massive. The moment a human brain became advanced enough to truly grasp its own death, not just fear danger like every other animal, but actually comprehend the concept of not existing, it triggered a crisis evolution never prepared it for. No other species lives with the constant, conscious knowledge that it's going to die. And once that knowledge hit, it demanded an answer. If I'm going to die, what was any of this for? If the people I love disappear, where do they go? So the idea of a God, something with intention, something with power over life and death, wasn't born from stupidity. It was born from the single most advanced question a mind had ever asked itself. Then came the second problem: randomness. A child dies for no clear reason. Lightning splits a tree. A drought wipes out a harvest. Today we have science for that. Back then, there was nothing, and nothing was unbearable. The brain doesn't like unexplained events. It's wired to find a pattern, any pattern, because a wrong pattern feels safer than no pattern at all. So when lightning struck, the question wasn't what happened. It was who did this? In 2006, archaeologists working in the Tsodilo Hills of Botswana, a site local San people call the Mountain of the Gods, found something that broke the entire timeline of religion. A rock, 6 feet long, naturally shaped like a python, but deliberately carved by human hands, over 300 notches cut into its surface, dated to roughly 70,000 years old. That's not just old, that's older than agriculture, older than writing, older than every known civilization combined. Around it, burned offerings, spearheads, the most valuable tools these people owned, placed deliberately, then destroyed, not lost, not dropped, sacrificed. In San mythology, the python isn't just an animal, it's the ancestor, the creature that made humanity itself. This wasn't decoration. Researchers consider it the oldest known religious ritual site ever discovered, and it tells us something huge. The need to connect with something bigger than yourself isn't a byproduct of civilization. It came first, tens of thousands of years first. In 1994, a Kurdish shepherd in southeastern Turkey stumbled onto ruins that archaeologists almost refused to believe were real. Not a shrine. A full temple complex, massive carved stone pillars, detailed animal reliefs, requiring organized labor and planning. Age, roughly 12,000 years. That makes Göbekli Tepe older than Stonehenge by around 6,000 years. Older than the Great Pyramid by about 7,500 years. Older than agriculture. Older than any known city on Earth. For decades, the accepted theory was, religion comes after civilization. You need farms, food surplus, settled towns first. Göbekli Tepe flipped that completely. The people who built it were hunter-gatherers. No permanent homes, no writing, no pottery, but they had religion. Archaeologist Klaus Schmidt spent 2 decades excavating this site, and he proposed something that rewrote human history. Religion didn't come from civilization. Civilization came from religion. The need to gather and worship pulled scattered groups together again and again. And that repeated gathering is what eventually led to farming, permanent settlements, and everything after. Here's the part that changes everything. Oxford anthropologist Robin Dunbar, the same researcher behind Dunbar's number, has spent decades studying why religion shows up in every human culture, on every continent, in every era. His conclusion: religion was never really about explaining lightning or death. That's not its main function. It's about bonding. Dunbar's research found that ritual, the chanting, the synchronized movement, the shared story, the group emotion, actually triggers endorphin release in the brain, the same chemical released by touch, by laughter. Worship feels good because it's literally building the neurochemical glue that holds a group together. A tribe of 50 people can run on personal relationships alone, but a group of 500? That needs something bigger, a shared belief nobody can see or touch, but everybody agrees on. That shared belief is what made large-scale cooperation possible. And large-scale cooperation is what built every city, every road, every empire that came after. So here's what we actually know. The idea of God didn't come from weakness. It didn't come from ignorance. It came from three things: a brain smart enough to fear its own death, a brain wired to hunt for patterns in chaos, and a brain that discovered shared belief could bond total strangers into a tribe. 70,000 years ago, someone stood in a dark cave in Botswana and sacrificed their most valuable possession to something they couldn't see. 12,000 years ago, people with no farms, no cities, no writing, built a temple on a hill for something they believed in completely. We still don't know what they believed, but that same pull, that need to explain, to connect, to belong to something bigger than one life, it's still running in you right now. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe, because next time we go even further back.